And
Hey, good morning, folks.
Tony. It's a little lag today. We'll get that worked out.
I hope you can hear me since we're
Yeah, we got you, Tony. Yeah, got a little lag on the end there, but we're going to work this all out. And good morning, everybody. We're having fun today. Let's see. We got it all rolling. I should get that paper bag for my head. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Patriots. I'm going to hit the chat early. There we go. I want to say also, and I think Tony would share this sentiment. Good morning. Happy birthday, Sean Lucas. So it's all good there. Sean, let's enjoy a nice birthday today.
There's a huge lag. I don't know. It's like we're bouncing signals off Mars today.
Yeah, who in the heck's maybe somebody's going to get swatted soon. I don't know. Maybe, did Zelensky predict this was going to happen? Because sometimes when he predicts things, something close to it happens. That's right. All right. So as we work on the lag, I want to throw this at everybody. There we go. And more happy birthdays to Sean. That's great. If it wasn't for Facebook telling me that, I wouldn't know. So we should probably get our birthdays together here. Maybe let's know some of the Patriots' birthdays so we can wish you all a happy birthday while things are going. We try to do all of that. That's what we do. We're good, loving people here. We're sensitive here on Wake Up Patriots, right, Tony? We're sensitive guys. I think we're going to work on this. So here's some. Did you?
I could barely.
Yeah,
we're having what you're saying, Chris.
Yeah, I know we're having some trouble. I think one of us
technology today just ain't working.
I know. We should get those Doge and SpaceX people on this right away. Have them talk to Rumble. Speaking of which, hoping the leg is there. You heard that Vladimir Zelensky is trying to weasel out of the rare earths deal now, haven't you? Filthy weasel. Donald Trump was wise to that one. He was on News Nation recently. I'm going to try to pull that up for you a little bit, but he was pretty wise to the idea that Zelensky's trying to weasel out of the deal. He says it's going to be big trouble if he tries to pull it off. That was rather interesting. I'm seeing if I pull that one up right now. I do have it, so let me see. As we're working with the lag, let us put this together. And don't worry, there's some.
I heard something about Zelensky and something. So
yes, well, Zelensky's trying to weasel out of the rare earths deal. So what happened is. Yes. So he's trying to weasel out of the deal. Donald Trump was on News Nation recently, and they try to do a good job over there as far as trying to be partisan, at least as nonpartisan as possible. But he's had this to say about that, Tony.
Zelensky, by the way, he's trying to back out of the rare earth deal. And if he does that, he's got some problems, big problems. We made a deal on rare earth, and now he's saying, well, I want to renegotiate the deal. He wants to be a member of NATO. Well, he was never going to be a member of NATO. He understands that. So if he's looking to renegotiate the deal, he's got big problems.
Donald Trump is trying to help Zelensky and the Ukrainians save face. That's what he's doing. But to do that, he has to make a deal with Vladimir Putin, who is a thug, who is a tough guy. And
right.
While Zelensky holds no cards, he's in the position where he has to protect his people right now and do the best he can with that. I don't think he's going to. I think he likes having this war. I think he likes the spotlight and likes the money coming in. That's what I believe at this point now. He has no interest in protecting his own people of Ukraine. This proves it.
So I think the best summary. Yeah, the best summary of it. I was on the Morning Answer in Chicago this morning at 7:30 our time, Eastern time, 6:30 their time, talking about this issue. And as I said, with them, it's like neither side wants to end this. They're one out of the 8, there's 8 contact points between the two military forces. The Russians are winning. They've obtained 80% of the objectives they've sought within the Oblast plus Kursk. They could get the other 20% by summer if they want. So it's kind of like they're winning. Putin's not all that worried about talking. So and then you've got the European, and so as long as you have the EU basically trying to egg on into the war, it's neither side, Zelensky or Putin, want peace, and Trump is saying no, I want peace. So it's going to be interesting, the will over both these men, because neither side at this point really want peace, but different for various reasons. The Russians are winning; they don't think they need to stop. Ukraine thinks if they get more money with the EU coming in to help them, they'll be fine. Both sides, I think, are wrong, but Trump can set it right.
Well, the best way to stop this war, and this is my opinion only, you're the national security guy. I'm the guy that sits behind the mic and makes fun of people. The fact is, this is what I believe. If this war escalates or keeps moving, the best way to end this is to take away Vladimir Putin's customer base. We start producing more oil like Trump promised, and we sell to Western Europe, which, by the way, we can sell at a lower price. They'll dive at it, and Russia's going to be a little more bankrupt. They won't be able to fund the war, and things will be worse for them. They don't want that. That threat is still there, and I believe that's the card that Donald Trump can hold against Vladimir Putin, whereas Zelensky has 0. So that's the only way there is going to be a brokered peace if Trump uses that card. It's not the tariff card. It's the we can outproduce you with oil card, and we can take your customers card. Thoughts?
No, I got it wrong, Chris. I think the biggest threat he has is to threaten to use Arnold Schwarzenegger in a role where he plays a Russian, like he did back in the 80s or 70s and 90s. There was some movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger played a Russian investigator. That's a big threat to use Arnold.
That's a good one. Or we can send them back Yakov Smirnov. Actually, I liked his act. He was hilarious, but that seems to be the running joke from the 90s. I don't know. I thought he was hilarious. He's the guy that told me about the Department of Jokes. I don't know if I mentioned this before. I'm pretty sure I did here on the show, but I did an interview with him on one of the
Heat.
old, on the
he
old
was
show.
a Russian in Red Heat. They're gonna make Red 2. That's the threat. We're gonna make Red Heat 2 with Arnold playing a Russian.
That might be working. That would be insulting to them, and I guess what's his name? Putin's pride. So that might work. Who might be worse thugs than Vladimir Putin? Worse than ever. They make Vladimir Putin look like a tiddlywinks player. The entire globalist sect of the Western European Union, if you will. Check this out. Now they're trying to jail Marine Le Pen. She apparently she's being accused of embezzling money to pay some of her staff, I guess. I'm not even sure how that's really working, but this is something that a lot of politicians have done over the past. They're using this to throw her in jail and keep her from running again. Romania has already disqualified their anti-globalist candidate.
It's only illegal in France.
Right.
Basically, they're saying that she took EU money to pay her staff. It's like it's not like she got the money illegally. It was apparently money that was legally obtained by her campaign. It's just she paid her staff, her French staff, with EU money. So I think maybe she would have been. Chris, do you think she should have paid her staff in escargot? I think it would have been safer. Just saying.
That would have been because the rest of the EU does not like escargot. Nobody really likes that. They just say they do because they want to appear couth. And I go with the Edmund Blackadder theory on couth.
Nobody does.
Well, think about it.
Pay him in snails and you're safe.
Right. And by the way, these people,
But no, this is all about lawfare. This is lawfare designed to do the same thing they were trying to do Trump. They're trying to the pen what they tried to do Trump here. That's all it is.
well, and what they did to Borsellino in Brazil, what they did, what they're doing now to Gorgescu in Romania, they disqualified him from the presidency or running for president, and now they've arrested him and they're attempting to jail him now. Poland is considering calling off its elections if the wrong candidate wins. That's in Zero Hedge today, by the way. They're speculating that. So the globalists are fighting back now through lawfare. The thing is, though, this is not like going against Donald Trump. These people, Marine Le Pen may have some resources, but these people do not have the resources Donald Trump has ever had to fight back against lawfare from a government, from globalists. These people they'll find a way to arrest and imprison these people until they silence the entire anti-globalist movement. That's what's happening. At least those are my thoughts. That's my rant. Rant over, Tony. Lag rant, if you will. So what do you think out there, Patriots?
That's true. Chris, I'm going to I can't hear. I'll let the Patriots know if they can't hear me.
No worries, because we'll have some fun with the Patriots right now, and I'm going to be here. This is Chris. I'm sitting in for just a few moments. Tony is taking care of his technical difficulties. We're getting all of that taken care of. I would like to say some attention is finally being paid to the crimes, the egregious crimes being put forth in South Africa. In fact, I do believe these South African crimes are globalist approved. In fact, they've actually allowed this funny thing. This is what's going on in South Africa, as you know, or if you haven't heard it yet. White farmers are having their land taken back without compensation. Some of them are being murdered. I guess their national anthem or some song they have, this "Kill the Boer" song or whatever they've been using, has ignited some of this tension. Elon Musk did call it out. The mainstream media here is not really doing anything with that. I do have another issue, though, with South Africa and the globalist. I believe the South African attacks on white farmers and the South African movement to take their land is globalist approved. And there's a reason for that. And again, a reason why I believe such. I'm not saying that I'm the end all be all with this whole thing, but there is Bloomberg reports recently that South Africa, there's me. Bloomberg reports that South Africa has been allowed by the globalists to ease up, or the globalists eased up on their emission standards. So again, these hippies who burn down, who advocate burning down Tesla buildings, electric cars, and destroying them, now we're saying that a favored nation status is going to South Africa so their coal plants can be allowed to breach emissions rules. The South African government now is doing what the globalists want them to do. They want them to destroy the white farmers. They want them to take the white farmers out and take their land without compensation. This way, you have a corrupt South African government kind of running things over there. So that's something. What do you guys think of that? Chris Cornani here, sitting in. We have Dr. Jerome Corsi coming in, by the way, a little bit later on. I was always ready. I'm always ready for this. Dr. Corsi is going to talk about what's going on in Wisconsin. There's a big race going on there. You know, Elon Musk's actually involved in a very small, or what seems to be a very small, Supreme Court justice race there. But there's a whole different bird to this. There are a lot of things that are happening, and I want to get into that. Let's see. What do we have here? Let's have a little bit of fun. I want to hold Signalgate for when Tony comes back here. But having said that, let's pull up something here. Did you all see what's been going on in Colombia? Not just in recent weeks, but just a couple of days ago, this over the weekend, and this is absolutely hilarious. These dumb kids are ripping up their diplomas in protest to support this Mahmoud Khalil, the immigrant who has been organizing violent protests and encouraging the death threats against Jewish students. This is what's happening. The mainstream media kind of waters down the things he did and the things he's encouraging as a foreign national. and watch these students here ripping up their diplomas.
Graduates of the School of International and Public Affairs chanted Free Palestine as they destroyed their sheepskins. It was Alumni Day on campus.
Look at these people. Well, by the way, they're all kind of wearing the uniform. One's masked, obviously. The other one's got the stupid T-shirt, got the liberal haircut. I guess your token trans in there somewhere. I'm not sure about that. But watch them; they're ripping up their diplomas. Now, this is the public affairs department. Okay, all right, I'll get there. But I'm pretty sure most of these students ripping up their diplomas are the ones who graduated with gender studies anyway, and socialism around the world, women's studies. I'll never forget the guy I knew who was a women's studies major just to meet women. That's right. Could you imagine that, being a women's studies major and trying to hit on women in these classes? Yeah, that's not the most fruitful endeavor, if you will. Here's another clip of them doing such silliness.
Free, free, free Palestine!
There you go.
Free Palestine! Free!
There's your gender studies.
Free
Right
Palestine!
there.
Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine!
Absolutely hilarious. No, so that's the chick. That's the other chick. So these are the public affairs students. Again, what good is this going to do ripping up their diplomas? First off, it's already there. It's on the record. You're not really doing anything but anything symbolic. You're being silly. This is absolutely 100% ridiculous. It's childish. Absolutely childish. Then you have these morons protesting in Manhattan against, of course, against Tesla. I'm not going to bemoan the fact that liberals were big Elon Musk fans for a very long time until he hooked up with the Orange Man, until he exposed their the liberal money laundering scheme. But this is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, so they're doing some kind of, I guess, a lie-in. What? Look at these people. Oh, it's a die-in. Remember those die-ins that some of these lefties tried to pull off after going into Afghanistan post 9/11? That's what they're doing now. What does this even mean? This makes no sense. They're actually saying Elon lied, people died. What's he lying about? And even if he was lying, he was talking about money being wasted. Are people dying because the Democrats' money laundering scheme is done? Well, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of let's just say crony welfare recipients like Stacey Abrams are losing a whole load of money. What is that? What they're protesting? Look at this. We should protest the fact that these people will refuse to get jobs. I guess I know there aren't enough Starbucks in the world, but I wouldn't trust any of these people to pump my gas or make my coffee anyway. In fact, I prefer to make my own coffee at home or go to Dunkin' Donuts or perhaps an independent coffee shop. That's right. Independent coffee shops are good. And you know why you won't find these hippies at an independent parking shop? Because they're working. Somebody ought to identify them and tell their mothers to kick them out of the basement. Look at this. A die-in. It's not even a war protest. You see that? The masked kid over here? And they call us a cult. This is the worst thing of it all. They absolutely think we're the cult. Well, they're the cult. They're the cult. They've fallen for this cult of personality, one I like to call the cult of annoying personality. That's right. The cult of annoying personality. Now we got the cult of cool personality here. It's Tony's back. So welcome back, Tony. Did you see this die-in? I want to play this again for you. These idiots, these idiot anti-Tesla, anti-Musk protesters staged a die-in at a Manhattan Tesla dealership or shop. Look at these morons.
Did they die?
A die-in. Remember like the die-ins they had from after September 11th, 2001? Lying in the streets.
I put them in jail for false advertising.
Yeah.
They didn't die, something there. It's like I'd arrest them.
Yeah, worse yet, if they're going to do this, then shut up. No one wants to hear from them. They're annoying, and they're in the middle of the street. You know what? They're dead. Run over them anyway. That's what I say.
Yeah, if you gonna die. Don't.
Good idea. I like that one. Yeah, that's
Well,
right.
the
Oh,
lag
yes.
still sucks. I don't know what the hell's going on today, Chris.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. We're going to work this out. By the way, Monami of in our chat, let's go to the chat a little. Monami says, Hardman Elon calls out Soros at a Wisconsin rally. I didn't get to mention that, but yes, he did that. And by the way, Soros. So George Soros is handing the reins down to his annoying son, Alex. And boy, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be as strong as his dad.
I'm going to try to restart the computer. Maybe it's me. I don't know what the hell's going on. So I'll be back.
Okay. I like that. Go pull the Brady Bunch scene about the measles and see what it really is, not the deathly disease they're calling it now. Oh, I understand. When you get measles as an adult, though, Love Country, SC Patriot, might be a lot worse than as a kid. But yeah, I remember back in the 70s, I never got the measles. I believe I know I had tonsillitis, but that's not catching. I had something. Oh, chicken pox. That's what it was. But I never had the measles. I remember watching movies that were based in the 50s and 60s and 40s where parents would make if one kid got the measles or mumps, they made all the kids get the measles or mumps or the chicken pox. So everything would go. They get their immunity and everything would be done with. Soros equals sorrows. Nice job, Hardman SH. I think that's part of the cult of annoying personality. And don't worry, yes, loves Christ. I'll be counting the seconds too, because I love when Tony's here. This way you don't have to look at me all the time. By the way, Dr. Corsi is going to be here very soon, and hopefully he's popping his way in. He was doing about 5 minutes ago. So let's see. He has a conflict. He cannot join us today. Let me know I got this. That's going to be rather interesting. So let's just go into a couple other things we have today. I want to go back to something I mentioned before. I mentioned this before. The Romanian, the globalists are fighting back, and they're fighting back extremely hard. The globalists are fighting back to a point where they're using every resource they have, and I'm not talking about just throwing money at everything. They're using lawfare. I discussed this with Dr. Corsi this morning. As you know, they tried to pull this off against Donald Trump. They tried to pull this off against Marine Le Pen. They're working on that right now. They did manage to jail the former president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro. I shudder to think what's going to happen if Javier Milei loses an election in Argentina. They're going to go after him. You know they're going to go after Trump. They went after Trump's lawyers by gum. People who represented Donald Trump. What kind of precedent does that set? It tells you the globalists and the left in the West are going to go after you or anybody you do, or anybody that is associated with you, or anybody who helps you out to discourage any of that, to make an example of you. And they're going to justify it. It was a conspiracy to overturn the 2020 election. No, there was no conspiracy to overturn the 2020 election. There never was. And this whole garbage about phony electors, the mainstream media was trying to get you to believe that, 1960 never existed? Let's just stop. Just stop, okay? We're not going to be fooled by this. And I understand these annoying liberals who try to spread this, and some of them are paid, some of them are just culted into doing this whole thing. We gotta challenge them. I think we should. Just tell them, hey, you're wrong. Their heads are in the ground. Look, a producer told one of those James O'Keefe reporters that during the Harris campaign, the Harris presidential campaign, they would dictate to MSNBC what the topic of the day would be, and the whole station would talk about that. Come down not from the top, but above the top. No joke. And he actually said MSNBC made their audience stupider. They made them stupider. And that's the truth. MSNBC made their audience stupider. Now, I'm going to respond verbally to the chats because right here I don't have the I'm typing and speaking. Hey, it's like walking and chewing gum. It's not very easy. How about this? Have you watched what's been going on with the Democrats recently? Now, I know we talked about their leadership deficit. It's pathetic. The fact is, though, when somebody calls them out, Yeah, I like that. You're right. You're right, hard man. It is tiresome explaining how mentally ill they are. The fact is that when we call these people out, or when their own calls them out, they don't there's no self-awareness there. There's nobody saying, well, all right, maybe this guy's right. You ever notice that every day when Senator John Fetterman gets gets another brain cell back, he goes more to the center than more to the right. He's telling his people, he's telling his Democrats, you people are, the whole woke thing is moronic. And you have Ted Walls going on last week going, hey, we got to double down on wokeness. We weren't woke enough. That's why we lost the election. No, there's something you lost if you replace the L with the R when you became woke. Yeah, I think we know what we're talking about there. He lost that and he became, well, a cuck. As the kids say, I always call him a wimp or something like that, or a wuss or something like that. We used to call that back in the day. I don't know what the kids say nowadays. I guess the kids say he has no riz. But watching this guy say they should double down on woke when people who make sense in the party, and there's about 3 of them, by the way, 3 of them. But the people that make sense within that party, they're being ignored. And not only ignored, now there's a threat by some lowly county executive. I forgot which county it was. That's how insignificant it was. But it's up to the annoying level that this guy's threatening or telling John Fetterman to resign from the Senate. He's their only conscience at this point. Tony, I was just a moment ago. You ever notice that every time Fetterman gains one more brain cell every day from that stroke before, he becomes less of a woke Democrat?
I think anybody who has literally 2 brain cells figures out the left is the. Let me go through this because I was going through. I lost a friend on Facebook yesterday because I was defending Pete and I was in another group pointing out the left. I don't know what it is about the left, but John Fetterman's a good example of someone who's kind of like maybe there's a meme out there with the guy wearing the Gestapo. Maybe we're the bad guys. Like, yeah,
yes.
You guys are the bad guys. And
we're still working on the tech thing, so that's all good. But you're right. I saw the meme. They are the baddies at this point. And sometimes I even think about this. I'll sit back and say, am I doing something wrong? Self-awareness is a good thing. Still having a little trouble with Tony's computer there. We're working on this, but we're bringing in as much of Tony as possible. By the way, Tony, in case you're wondering, Dr. Corsi is unable to make it today. We're going to pull him in another day this week. We're going to have some good stuff this week. Paula Jones is joining us tomorrow with Karen Turk. That's going to be a lot of fun.
I
always enjoyed Paula. So there we go. Still working with Tony.
Out that recently, until having that may be in the past.
Okay, we're still waiting. We're still having a little issue here. I do agree. By the way, we're going to go down the list here. Yes, there goes Love Country SC Patriot. I'm a little nearsighted, so it goes. Fetterman 2.0 replacement Fetterman is not as controllable as the real one, but still their puppet. I don't know. I think at this point he's a survivalist. At this point, Fetterman knows. Yeah, we're having a tough Monday, but only technically. Don't worry about that. But Fetterman knows, by the way, he is he needs to get elected again in September in Pennsylvania if he is going to be a senator for a long time. I'm good, Trixie. It's all good. It is. The technical end's always tough. It's hard driving the show and getting this stuff done. That's all. We'll work all this stuff out. Hey, Tony, is all good? All good, Tony? Okay.
All right.
We're working.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on today. This has never been this bad.
No. We ride through it. That's what we do. Maybe it's the globalists trying to stop you too. If they think they can stop Le Pen, and stop Gorgescu, they can stop Borsellino, and they think they can stop Trump. They think they can stop Tony Shaffer too. There we go. I think that's what's happening. What do you think out there, Patriots? Uh, anyway, let's have some fun here. So, and we talked about the leadership deficit with the Democrat Party. John Fetterman maybe thinks he's going to take that over. Tim Walz says they should double down on wokeness, Tony. And we're still working on the technical issues here. So let's see what else we have here. Let's see. Last week, the PBS CEO and the NPR CEO were grilled in front of Congress. We didn't have a lot of time to cover what was happening last week, but we want to do that. I want to throw some highlights at you this week because there's a lot to uncover here and a lot to discuss. But I do want to bring some of the let's say some of the fun highlights we saw over that last week while we work on getting Tony situated here. So let's go to the audio tape and videotape and watch some of this. So we'll have a little fun.
Do you believe that America is addicted to white supremacy?
I believe that I tweeted.
Now, this Marchek, you saw her before speak in public, and this video is circulating around. I don't have to pull it up. I believe we played something about there. She said, PBS, NPR, they don't have to look for the truth. They should be convincing other people of the truth. So she's already anti-fair journalism from the start. She's trying to weasel out of this in front of Congress because she knows at this point, the NPR, PBS, and the CPB, they're going to be defunded as far as the government end. And I want to discuss some of this because I have some insight as far as what some of these weasels have tried to use public taxpayer money for their own political agenda, not just these two chicks.
Did that, and as I've said earlier, I believe much of my thinking has evolved over the last half decade.
It has evolved. Why did you tweet that?
I don't recall the exact context, sir, so I wouldn't be able to say.
Okay. Do you believe that America believes in black plunder and white democracy?
I don't believe that, sir.
She looks like she knows she's caught.
Tweeted that in
comes from-
reference to a book you were reading at the time, apparently, The Case for Reparations.
I don't think I've ever read that book, sir.
You tweeted about it.
See, she's blatantly lying. She doesn't care. She's never cared about the truth before. She's telling you she's never read a book she tweeted about. And she's saying, oh, no, I never believed in well, wait. Oh, my tweet said that? People pull these things up. In fact, I know people delete tweets that some of the smarter folks save them. They're printed up already. You put things on the internet. It's not very easy to lose. Let's talk. Let's hear some more.
You took a day off to fully read The Case for Reparations. You put that on Twitter in
A
January.
day off to
2020.
read it. Lying.
I apologize. I don't recall that I did.
Okay.
I no doubt that your tweet there is correct, but I don't recall that.
Okay. Do you believe that white people inherently feel superior to other races?
I do not.
You don't. You tweeted something to that effect. You said, I grew up feeling superior. How white of me. Why did you tweet that?
I want to stop the superior thing because I like what Nona's saying. Nona G. She's so arrogant. Looks down her nose, eyes closed when she speaks. I'm better than you syndrome. That is exactly how the left feel, and that is exactly how this journalist class feels about the rest of us. They even feel a little bit about that. They feel that way about the politicians as an ends to their means. See, they're the ones who control what people view and watch, and with that, they control what a lot of people think.
I think I was probably reflecting on what it was to grow up in an environment where I had lots of advantages.
It sounds like you're saying that white people feel superior.
I don't believe that anybody feels that way, sir. I was just reflecting
Except for her.
on my own experiences.
Do you think that white people should pay reparations?
I've never said that, sir.
Yes, you did. You said it in January of 2020. You tweeted, yes, the North. Yes, all of us. Yes, America. Yes, our original collective sin and unpaid debt. Yes, reparations. Yes, on this day.
I just imagine being this woman thinking, I don't think any of them have my tweets from the past. So I'm just going to deny everything. Back in the day, and this is what bothers me about politicians over the last maybe several decades or maybe whole century plus. The public relations mantra was deny, deny, deny. That was fine before the internet came out. As soon as the internet came out and people can look things up and find out what people said in the past, it's in print. You can look up anything you want without having to go to the library and sift through the microfiche. Remember the microfiche and microfilm, which, by the way, I enjoyed. Nothing like reading a nice a nice large edition of Commonweal while I'm doing my research when I was a student at college. Commonweal. Remember Commonweal? Anyway, that's what I'm trying to say here. This woman is so arrogant, and you're right. You're 100% right. This woman is so arrogant. She's actually going to say, I never said any of this, and hoping people believe it after having her tweets read in public. Let's go.
Don't believe that was a reference to fiscal reparations, sir.
Oh,
What
shut
kind of
up.
reparations was it a reference to?
I think it was just a reference to the idea that we all owe much to the people who came before us.
Yeah, no. You see, that's the other problem. Slavery reparations, they technically came after the European settlers. In fact, I want to give you a little history on this. Columbus is blamed for a lot of things, but the man, that clergyman who tried to sell him out to Queen Victoria, excuse me, Queen Isabel. See, I'm getting my queens mixed up. Queen Isabel tried to sell her out to that. Had her throw him in jail. Then 6 months later, she realized that he was innocent of the whole thing. That's the guy that opened up the transatlantic slave trade. And nobody ever talks about that. It's always, the British Americans, the white Americans are the ones who did that. No, it's the Spanish Americans. Technically, I hate to say, components of the church did that. Conquistadors bring them all in. It's just, again, it doesn't take much to debunk a lot of what the liberals say. Just sense.
That's a bizarre way to frame what you tweeted. Okay, how much reparations have you personally paid?
Sir, I don't believe that I've ever paid
She
reparations.
had some work done to make
Okay,
her lips
just for
more
everybody
smug.
else.
I'm not asking anyone to
Seems
pay
to be what you're
reparations, sir.
suggesting. Do you believe that looting
He's
is
very
morally
careful to
wrong?
say she
I believe
doesn't
that looting
recall,
is
so she
illegal,
can't be
and I
accused of
refer to
lying
it as
under oath.
counterproductive.
Yeah,
I think
and
it should be
you're
prosecuted
100% right,
according to
and
morally
law.
I want to stop there. That is what they do. You're trained to say by us PR types. I hate to say it. I've told people to say it myself. You say, I do not recall. This way you have plausible deniability. And you can't say they can't say you're lying because they cannot prove that you can or cannot recall. I remember Oliver North did that. I didn't realize, by the way, Staff Sergeant Barry Sadler had a hand in that whole Contragate thing. Well, I'll digress. That's the guy with the hit song from 1969, I believe it was, the Ballad of the Green Beret, which I did like, by the way.
Wrong, though.
Of course.
Of course. Then why did you refer to it as counterproductive? It's a
No.
very different way to describe it.
It is both morally wrong and counterproductive, as well as being
You
illegal.
tweeted, it's hard to be mad about protests in reference to the BLM protests, not prioritizing the private property of a system of oppression. You didn't condemn the looting. You said that it was counterproductive. NPR also promoted a book called In Defense of Looting. Do you think that that's an appropriate use of taxpayer dollars?
I'm unfamiliar with that book, sir, and I
And
don't believe that was at my
You
time at
tweeted
NPR.
that you read that book.
Everything. She thinks nobody's going to believe it. She thinks nobody is checking on her. She absolutely thinks she can say, I didn't read this, and half the country will believe it. And you know, the sad thing about that is she's absolutely 100% right. There are people on your social media feeds right now saying that these Congress members are lying, that she never said any of this, and they're trying to make her look bad. This is a woman who said she was never really interested in the truth to begin with. And these people are absolutely disgusting and despicable. Let's have a little fun with Tim. Oh, is it Tim Burkett had a little fun with these people as well, too. Let's hear from him during the same hearing.
Ms. Carter, is it true that HBO bought the rights to Sesame Street?
No, it did not. It
From,
developed
PBS,
Sesame
probably.
Street entered an arrangement with HBO for a number of years,
And it
which
was a
is now
paid arrangement, correct?
yes,
Yeah,
which
it was
allowed us to
PBS.
get the series for free during the period of that time.
How much money was transacted during?
I don't know. Sesame Street is a private organization. It is separate from ours.
Okay. Ms. Meyer, what about Lee Greenwood's God Bless the USA as propaganda?
I'm sorry, sir. Could you repeat the question?
What about Lee Greenwood's God Bless the USA is propaganda?
I don't believe that is propaganda, sir.
Okay, well, in January, North County Public Radio, and that's a subsidiary of NPR, had Daphne Brooks, who apparently is a Black feminism scholar, on its show where it was hosted by the host Brittany Lewis, and it says, have you ever watched something on TV and thought, okay, now this is propaganda? Have you ever had that moment? To which Daphne Brooks replied, whenever I see Lee Greenwood singing Proud to Be an American.
I believe that represents the individual we interviewed on air, not the position.
And
of
yet you
NPR.
say there's no bias on NPR.
That is not a
And
position
that
of
is not a
NPR.
biased statement, ma'am. That is not even both parties wrap themselves around this song every time there's a national conflict. Lee Greenwood sings it and he does a beautiful job, but you say there is no bias in NPR.
That is that individual's opinion, and she, of course, is entitled to it, but that is not the position of NPR.
Ma'am, you said in your opening statement that you were going to be transformative, and I believe you failed to do that.
This is something that is discussed. They always have these ultra liberal guests. It used to be, I do remember back in the day when I was growing up, 70s and 80s, they did try to bring in some conservatives to talk. Yes, there was still major liberal bias there, but a lot of these people are radicals who are hosting programs that bring in fellow radical guests. And I wouldn't even mind that had it been something private like MSNBC. We always keep people like that around for a few laughs, but MSNBC is funded by, all right, I'll say maybe there was a bit of questionable funding that's probably gone or will be gone in the next few months, but that's a different story for a different day. But that can get private funding. NPR is a different bird altogether. Now, they don't get 100% public funding or funding from the taxpayer. We understand that. And defunding does not mean depleting the entire network or anything that has to do with public broadcasting. That has to be determined right there. It has to be known. The fact is, NPR is funded both by public donations, or PBS is also public donations. They do those begathons, those long begathons. They play a portion of a show and they stop it and they yammer on about whatever tote bag you can give them, or they can give you for a certain amount of money and you become some kind of patron or whatever. Yeah, that's how they make a lot of their money. But a huge chunk of it comes from the taxpayer. The taxpayer is represented by people on the right, left, center, or all around the Nolan Square. And if they're funding you, if they're funding PBS, and this is where this smug chick CEO and the other smug chick CEO as well, but they're both pretty smug. This is where they can say, well, we're not really biased, because they honestly believe that, possibly, or they're just saying they honestly hope other people believe that. But they're saying, I can't say we're biased because once I say that, we can easily be defunded. They approve of such bias because they're not coming down on it. It's true. If this smug CEO of NPR is sitting there in front of Congress saying it's only the host, it's only this, I don't condone this. You do condone it if you're not acting upon it, if you're not guaranteeing that the people who invest in public broadcasting through taxpayer money are being represented. And that's technically, I could stretch it as far as taxation without representation. I'm joking in a lot of ways, but think about this. The right and probably the center is barely, if at all, represented, and many times not represented through public broadcasting. And some of these jerks get rich off of it, like the CEOs. I know of a guy named Alan Chartock who bought a string he used to be a libertarian, then he became a far left crazy hippie in the 90s. He bought a whole string of northern New York and central New York and Hudson Valley public broadcasting stations, gave himself a whole load of money over it, a huge salary. That was controversial at the time, a 6-figure salary for CEO of a public broadcasting group. Still made more money off the top of that and used it for his own political bias. I listened to him one day trying to convince people to donate to deal with some hearings when it came to the Bush era. I forgot which hearings they were. He was getting calls from people. I'll donate $25 to you if you would go get them. Record the hearings. And then you go, yeah, let's do that. Let's get these Bushes. That's what he sounded like. He sounded like Tim Walz on, it sounds like Ted Walz on steroids. Tim Walz on steroids. I keep doing that Tim and Ted thing. Chartock actually sounded like this. He's like, yeah, we're going to get those Bushes. That's what he actually said. We're going to get those Bushes. That's not what the CEO of a public broadcasting group should be saying on the air. But he said it on the air. I was listening. People remember things. These are the kind of people running public broadcasting. You think they should be defunded? Again, if the liberals want to keep NPR running, if they really do, then they can foot the bill. No longer Elmer Fudd. I hope that wasn't me. I was told I sound more like Bullwinkle, Trixie. When I was a young broadcaster, there was a guy, Rob Mugradician, who is now Rob Taylor. A good radio guy, really kind of strict. He made fun of my voice once because he said I sounded like Bullwinkle. And I was reading the news one day, listening to myself, and like, hey, rookie, watch me pull a rabbit out of his hat. And I was doing a morning show at the time. I'm allowed to do that. Different story for a different day. But think about this. What do you think out there? If the left wants to keep this bias in NPR, if these CEOs want to keep it going, fine, let them. But no public funding anymore. That's it. You're done. Go on donations. You're allowed to get. Ronald Reagan allowed the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to bring in advertisers. They can use advertisements like the rest of us. That's the truth. Well, thank you, by the way. Yeah, Nord and USN crew. I love it. Bullwinkle is one of my favorites. I'll do some more Bullwinkle for you. I can do Scooby Doo. Woo, Reggie, Reg out a crew. Actually, there are a few different Scooby Doos. The older one I can pretty much do. The other ones are a little tough. And we're not doing Scrappy, by the way. Yogi and Boo Boo. But Yogi, what about the Ranger? Oh, screw the Ranger, Boo Boo. I'm smarter than the average bear. Yes, I do a better Boo Boo than I do a. All right, I'm going off track here. But think about it. What do you think? Get rid of. I don't want to get rid of NPR. I think it used to be important. I want to get into this other thing that Stacey Crockett said Jasmine Crockett said as well. I keep calling her Stacey. I'm doing this my whole thing. Anyway, look. Liberal networks are fine to have if there is support for it, if there's commercial support for it. We need to make fun of something. You keep it, fine. No more public. We can save a lot of money by defunding or at least not allowing public funds, taxpayer funds, to go to NPR. Thoughts on that one? And look, you want to look, the CEO donate half your salary. How about that? These chicks, they're all self-righteous about taking public money and saying, oh, well, we're not biased. You are. Just admit it. You're biased. You're leaning so far to the left, and a lot of your subsidiaries do the same thing because that's what the public sector does. The public sector leans far to the left. It's always been that way. Probably because there's less accountability when it comes to ratings, less accountability when it comes to listeners. They do have a little bit when it comes to donors, and they should be held to that. You want to be a liberal network, and don't do it on my dime. Don't do it on the Patriots' dime. Do it on the dimes of those who want to pay for it. And remember, that was where I was digressing before. Ronald Reagan deregulated public radio to the point, and public television to the point where they can take advertisers. And what they have been doing was taking underwriters. And believe me, these corporations will pay a lot of money to underwrite public broadcasting if they lean that way. So go put a sales team together and take care of it yourself. No more from us. You're already stealing enough money from us for all this other garbage that seems to be exposed every day. And then Jasmine Crockett. Let's see if I can dig up that Jasmine Crockett line that she tried to pull. I want to break this apart because, again, she is the new face of the Democrat Party. Let's see. I'm trying to find it. We'll do a Jim Jordan pretty soon, too. There we go. Jasmine Crockett. She's the new face of the Democrat Party. She's Miss Street. She's Miss Tough. We've been through this a million times. But she's still a complete moron. Watch what she tries to do when she speaks for keeping the funding and keeping the bias, by the way, in public radio. Let's see if I have this up right now. Here she is, the lovely Jasmine Gangsta Crockett.
Mr. Ullman, what's a more significant domestic threat, reporting the murder of George Floyd or dismantling most of America's emergency communication systems?
Can you please repeat the question for me, Congresswoman?
Which one is more of a threat, reporting the murder of George Floyd or dismantling most of America's emergency communication systems?
Dismantling the emergency systems.
And isn't it true that in Barrow, Alaska is the only, I'm sorry, and
Yeah.
isn't it true that KBRWAM in Barrow, Alaska is the only
Oh, she actually used the politically incorrect name of the town. Didn't they change it back to something with like 8 consonants in a row for the natives during the Obama era?
broadcast service available in an area of more than 90,000 square miles?
That is correct. It's also the North Slope.
Listen to her
where
closely.
The majority of all the oil production that comes from Alaska takes place.
Thank you so much. And isn't it true that without these stations broadcast, Americans in rural communities would lack access to life-saving information and public safety alerts?
That is correct.
Actually, it is not. She's trying to convince us that we don't have an EAS system. I worked in radio and local radio, by the way, rural, suburban as well, for a long time. We have an emergency alert system. It's required. It's required. It's national for any type of emergency. Every station, it's not voluntary. It's required. Every station has to take part because if something goes wrong in a certain area, we have to be able to alert. And these things have to be tested. They are required to be tested at least once, I think once a week, as a matter of fact. I know when I was doing radio, it was once a week. This is why you see on TV, on cable, or on or from your local radio station every once in a while, sometimes on the overnights, sometimes during the day, you'll hear, well, this is a test from our National Emergency Alert System. Now, it used to be emergency broadcast system. They changed it to emergency alert system somewhere in the 90s. You hear the beep, and this is the idea. They will give you a warning. They are forced. You have this machine in here from the EAS system. There's a little ticker tape that came out in the 90s. I'm sure it's all computerized now, but it breaks right in, and it has to break right in, gives you the big alarm and tells you that there's an emergency. And that includes rural stations, radio, and television. So no, it's not NPR stations that'll inform anybody or the sole informers of any emergency happening around the nation or any local area. That is untrue. Jasmine Crockett was lying, and so was the sycophant who was in the panel, lying through their teeth. Tony, welcome back. We need the emergency alert system here. That's a good thing. But that's absolutely required, though. And she tried to convince Americans, or tried to convince people sitting in the committee with her, the Doge committee with her, that only NPR stations were there to give that sort of information. It's a complete lie. Now, I will say this: a lot of local stations, Tony, and Patriots, if you've noticed, lost or not willing to pay for a news service, or not willing to pay for a good news guy, and that's a problem. We should bring back radio news and local stations. Some have done that. Some have become more hyper local, but it's not easy to do in a suburban area where people are more interested in the city markets. In rural markets, hyperlocal does very well, and local businesses are always willing to advertise on a hyperlocal station in a lot of rural areas. They're the ones giving the information. They don't have to rely on the biased sources from NPR ever. There we go. How about that, Tony? Rant over. By the way, check out the cool shirt. We got Foghorn Leghorn today. He's one of Mojo Nixon's
That's
Holy
good.
Trinity,
That's
by
good.
the way. Yeah.
So,
You're a Mojo Nixon's
what is
Holy
the Holy
Trinity.
Trinity? I don't think I knew about this.
Yeah, Mojo Nixon has a Holy Trinity, the great Mojo Nixon. I actually had the privilege of interviewing him.
No.
His Holy Trinity is Foghorn Leghorn, Elvis, and Otis the Drunk. From Andy Griffith. In fact, that's why he named his 1988 album
from Mayberry RFD.
Yes, that's right. He named one of his albums Otis after Otis the Drunk. That's the one with the song "Don Henley Must Die" and "Destroy All Lawyers." Classic album, almost as great as Bodacious. All great stuff. Sorry that he passed on too early a couple years ago.
That's right. So Don Henley didn't die. He did. Just saying. Don won. Not that that's a good thing. I'm not here to comment on Don Henley. Just that, poor Mojo.
Yeah.
Did Mojo get his mojo back? Or is
No,
that
he
even
did for a
possible?
while. In fact, there was a concert where Don Henley actually went up on the stage and sang the song with them. So for that particular moment, they changed the lyrics to Michael
Really?
Bolton Must Die. Yeah. They changed it to Michael Bolton Must Die on
That's
stage.
great. That is great. That is
Yeah.
great.
It's hilarious, but it's a great album. Tony, we were just talking about the NPR hearings last week, and I got to tell you, I talked about my experience with this, or like having my experience in radio over the years. Local radio is very important. We had a guy named Alex Chartok over in upstate New York who would bought a whole chain of public radio stations and made loads of money. He had a controversial 6-figure salary off of the public dime. And that was back in the 90s. That was a pretty big deal back then.
Yeah.
So with these smug.
I had a friend who worked at, I had a friend who worked in Dayton. I won't bring his name up, but if he's watching, he'll know who he is. He worked at the Wright State University radio station. He did a great job, went on to NPR, worked at the NPR station. And guess what they did, Chris, to my friend? They fired him when they figured out he was a conservative.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah.
Now
We'll
that's
just
something
call him
that
John. And John eventually got, because when I visited Dayton, he'd come out and have me on. And a lot of folks back in the 80s and 90s really did perceive public radio to be public radio. It's like, it leaned left because, lefties. But
they had token
now it's
conservative
full-blown
time.
Marxist.
Yeah, it is. And
Now it's full-blown Marxist.
The problem is it's taxpayer-funded Marxism. And so we're getting close to the end. Let's close out with what Jim Jordan said to the two broads who ran, the one who ran NPR and the one who runs PBS. Jim Jordan gave him a nice kind of lecture.
Yeah.
Let's see what he said to those broads.
What's happening to your listeners over the last 5 years? Went up, down, or stayed the same?
It has gone up and down and is now going back up.
Well, I thought 5 years ago it was at 60 million. And you
It's
said
down
in your opening
1/3.
statement, I think 43 million.
That's correct.
So 43 million now, and it was at 60 million 5 years ago. I can do some math. That looks like it went down.
And is now going back up.
It's now going back up?
Yes,
What-
it is.
How much has it went back up?
It's
From
gone
what?
up a couple of millions over the past
Oh,
years.
so you went from 60 million to 41 million. Now you're back up to 43 million.
In a year's time, I'm very proud of that growth, sir.
Okay, you're proud of that growth. Okay. But over 5 years, it's went down 18 million.
That is correct, sir.
Okay. Should taxpayers subsidize NPR?
I believe that taxpayers subsidize local stations, sir. That is the vast majority of what
I thought
federal
you said
funding
you got
goes.
11 million from Corporation of Public Broadcasting, which is taxpayer funded directly to you, right?
That is to support the public
And then
radio
local
satellite
stations get it
system.
from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, right? They get taxpayer
100
money.
million that goes to the local
100 million goes to
stations,
local
yes.
stations, and then those local stations buy back programming and content from you. So that money goes to local stations, comes back to you.
Exactly.
gets
It's
routed
a
to the local
Ponzi
stations, all
scheme.
taxpayer money.
Yep, it's a Ponzi scheme. You realize that Henry, you know what, Tony, if Henry Winkler ran this, you know what it would be called? A Fonzie scheme.
No, what?
No, I said
Ponzi scheme. Well,
Ponzi scheme.
It'd be
All right.
funner. It'd be funner with a leather jacket if that was the case.
I think it's more fun when Jim Jordan talks about it. Let's do the last minute of this, and we'll close her out.
Those fees are actually
Yeah,
based
I
on
love
private
Jim. He's
donations rather than on federal funding.
Well, we all know money's fungible, so some of it gets put in there.
Certainly, we could agree that money is fungible.
What? More money for less listeners. You fired the guy who pointed all this out, who said that you were so biased to the left that you lost listeners, which is exactly happening, and you're here maintaining that. Oh, you need to continue to get taxpayer money.
I did not fire Mr. Berliner, sir.
Okay, the guy that left after all that. Understand. Are you fundraising off today's hearing?
Sir, I believe that there was a message that went out earlier today letting people know we were coming in. Yes.
Yeah, and at the bottom of the message it said,
"Oh yeah,
donate now." Right?
I don't recall the exact
I can
language.
show it to you right there. It
Of
is.
course.
Donate now. I mean, I'm not against
Of
fundraising. We all
course.
do it. I mean, I get it, but it's. I assume this fundraising thing is probably going to all the left listeners who are subsidized content by the taxpayers.
Exactly.
That's
The gentleman's time has
That's the
expired.
rub.
Yes, exactly. Score another one. That's a big roast. By the way, I suppose what's her name needs some beer or something nice and cold to cool her off because she just got burned. There we go.
Yeah. So So I just want to cover this real quick because I always say I listen to NPR so you don't have to, and I do.
Same
And I was
here.
driving around. Was it yesterday or the day before? It all blurs together. It's like a slow stream of Marxism. No matter when you listen, it's always the same. Now, Chris, they have this. This is NPR. Right now, my pants are on fire, and my wife. It's all really good. And oh, by the way, climate change is about to kill your dog. Let's get back to Scott Ritter talking about how his dog is dying from climate change. Scott, take it away. So that's what they do. That's what they do. It's all drama. And oh, by the way, what's up with the freaking background music between articles? They have this like upbeat jazz music. It's like, what the F? How much do you pay some knucklehead to put together this cute bumper music between tragic articles? And today, in
They get a
Asheville,
free
North
tote
Carolina,
bag.
18 people died. And then you had this like light jazz melody in the background. It's like, what the hell? What the hell? I'm not joking about this. I am not joking. This is what they do. And so and we're paying. This is what we're paying for. So let me finish my rant because I didn't get a chance to do my rant earlier.
You got
Let me finish this. So I'm just saying when they get on there, and by the way, they do advertise. They do. I don't care what it's fundraise. No. They advertise. They have left-wing advertisers come on and talk about what they're selling you. And there's drug makers. There's actual organizations which provide them money, like Target,
the underwriter,
Walmart, some other big corporations.
Reagan,
it's advertising.
Reagan deregulated that back in the 80s, and that's important to know. He figured a way to get them to get more funding,
right?
And that would be perfect.
So
fine. Put a sales team together,
right? So, Chris, last time I checked, we don't get any government money, right?
Oh yeah, I know. And
nothing.
We could have used some of that USAID money.
No. Let me say. Oh, here I got my Jake Sullivan pickle. I'm so upset. I got my Jake Sullivan pickle. Hey, will NPR be defunded? See, a favorable outcome. That means they're going to be defunded. That's good. So there you go. The Jake pickle has spoken. Just saying. So, but my point being is that they get paid. Their little headquarters in Washington. You know how much that we pay for their headquarters in Washington? You got to guess?
A boatload.
We pay for their building in downtown Washington $11 million a year. But we just get a small percentage from the government. No, it's all a lie. It's all a lie.
Back in the 90s,
they are funded over half by the government, and the rest of it is just fun money. It's walking around money. So when they go up and want to get a sex change operation, they could go to New York and pay cash for it.
Well, back in the 90s, the excuse was, you're defunding Sesame Street. You're taking Sesame Street off the air. That was always a bunch of bull because, again, with underwriting, with the allowance of advertising, trust me, corporations will line up to support Sesame Street, the electric company, Zoom, or whatever they have, whatever the kids watch these days. I'm still not forgiving Sesame Street for taking Grover's screen time in favor of that annoying Elmo. And secondly, not forgiving Sesame Street for, what was it? Oh, yeah, for taking cookies away from Cookie Monster and making them eat vegetables.
Yeah. And what happened to the Count? Did they deport him back to Transylvania or something, for God's sake?
No, he was jailed along with...
Seriously, when's the last time you saw the Count on Sesame Street? Yeah. Did they make him go to front in Ukraine and fight the Russians?
Well, keep in mind, these people at NPR probably still think math is racist, so that's why they can't have the Count anymore. 2 + 2 is not 5. Wait a minute. It is 5 because math is racist.
There you go. See,
I do a better count than Bullwinkle.
Yeah. I think, this is where maybe the Patriots will agree with me. This is NPR's chance to really make some bank. So what they need to do is fire Mayor and bring in Jasmine Crockett as the new CEO and make a PBS ghetto, like make it like as ghetto as you can get it.
Yeah. So this mugging
I
is
guess
brought to you by the number 7.
the interwebs didn't like my comment, but anyway, I would go with Jasmine Crockett as the new CEO of PBS and NPR. Make her both. They could live stream, street people doing street things in Houston. That would be a great live stream. That's just that's good TV there. Good TV and radio.
I'd probably watch that, but if it's Jasmine Crockett, really, that's only on camera. That's the on camera garbage with her. What she really sounds like is off camera is like, well, mummy, it is time for me to go to cotillion. Shall I bring the lady fingers, or are we having caviar over there for hors d'oeuvres today?
So I want to know who
she's
does her
posh.
eyebrows. Yeah, exactly. I want to know who does her eyebrow extensions and her hair extensions, and do they use the same horsehair for both? That's what I want to know. If she does something, I bet you she's bald. I wonder if she's bald. I wonder if she had like a tragic super glue accident that all of her hair got pulled out in high school, because I could see that happening. Just saying.
Well, I suppose that, along with Elise press-on eyelashes, I think we have a winner.
Yeah. So well. Anyway, it seems like finally things cleared up at the last minute. So, but it's too late. We got to go. So we got to go. We'll be back tomorrow. Who do we have tomorrow, Chris?
Tomorrow we have Karen and Paula Jones. Karen Turk and Paula Jones will be with us.
That'll be great.
And I am bringing Jared Knott back on Wednesday. We fixed his technical problems, and Cousin Vinny's going to join us on Wednesday. We'll have a fun time with.
That'll be a good show then too. Great.
Bloopers, yes. So
History's bloopers. Does that mean we're going to bring back Macron and let him play Napoleon, since he's putting his political enemies in jail like Joe Biden did or tried?
That's right. They're all doing it. We got to keep an eye on that. That's something that they're not letting up, and we could do a whole other.
Chris, let me ask you in the Patriots before we go. Do you think Macron is such a kind of a cruel and inhumane guy because he's married to a guy? Does that do that to you? I don't know.
Well,
I've never been married to a guy. I don't know. I'm just wondering. I don't know. The plumbing is difficult, right? I mean, even the French, I think, would have a hard time with that pretzel. Just saying. I think it, speaking of escargot.
Ugh, I just can't eat that stuff. And it's also salty, isn't it? Salty as heck, from what I understand.
Are you talking about Macron's wife or guy or snails? What are you talking about?
I think it's the same thing.
Could be. A little garlic goes a long way. Just say it. Not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with being married to a guy. For those out there who are traditional gay and lesbian friends, we love you.
Yeah.
It's the Macron kind of
French. He's annoying. He's trying to hide it. Yeah.
So just if you're going to be gay, be gay. If you want to be George Takei, be gay.
Yeah, he doesn't hide it.
Just don't be liberal. Just don't be a flaming leftist who wants to burn down the very institutions that have protected us. Just saying.
Yes.
So, okay, we got to go. Well, thank you, Chris, for staying in there while whatever technical challenges. I rebooted the computer 3 times. I'm not sure if it's a computer or not, but anyway, we're back now. So.
Yes. Oh, good. We'll blow up that bridge when we get to it.
That's right. Kelly's Heroes.